We're at Sears Center Arena in Hoffman Estates, Illinois, the home of the Windy City Bulls, and I'm pleased to be joined by none other than the head coach of the Bulls, Damian Cotter. Damian, thanks for taking the time.
My pleasure, Yousef.
Damian, this program is geared towards educating our audience about the G League. You've had a chance to coach all over Australia, which we'll talk about, but explain to our audience what the G League is for those who may not be aware.
Basically, it's a development league, and before Gatorade sponsored it, that was what it was called. It was called the D League, and the D stand for development. And wins and losses are valuable and fun. Wins are fun to have, but the most important thing is that players get better.
Is that one of the metrics that you use to determine success, as opposed to wins and losses? It's a little different in the G League.
It's totally different. It's for us, Max Struess and Adam McCoker are our two-ways. It's really important for the club that we were providing opportunities for these players to develop. And Max really, unfortunately, he was so close to breaking into the Bulls with the injuries that they've had to deal with this year. And then he did his ACL when we were at the showcase in Vegas. And Adam's recent form, both here and with the Bulls, has indicated that this has been a successful year for him.
Can you describe the interaction between the NBA club and the G League affiliate? What does that relationship look like on a day-to-day basis?
I think with our club, we're pretty unique. Like I literally spoke to Coach Boylan driving here. Yesterday I was down at practice. I spoke to one of his lead assistants, Chris Fleming, today. It's a pretty cool environment. I know my assistant coaches interact with their staff as well, and I think that's the only way. There has to sort of be for this to be successful, there has to be an alignment, and a lot of clubs, I think, pay lip service to that, but we certainly live it.
You have an interesting relationship as well with the Denver Nuggets. How would you describe the uniqueness of that relationship? They use the Windy City Bulls because they don't have their own G League affiliate as their G League club.
I think the word unique's pretty appropriate. It's a good relationship. We had PJ Dozier, and it would have been nice to keep him, but he's another one. He wasn't our two-way; he was Denver's two-way. And he's gone up and done really well, and he started to establish himself as an NBA player. So, if you look at the three players and you take into account that Max was close to getting there, it's been a pretty successful year.
Let's shift gears to talking about your background in basketball. You're from Australia, as we've discussed. How do you decide mid-career basketball, because you've worked with the youth program over there, you've coached in the NBL, why make the move to the NBA G League? Talk me through what happened. What's the story behind that?
I think if you do coach and you have some peaks and valleys, and I got fired from a club in Australia.
Sydney Kings.
Sydney Kings. I went into the Olympics with our national women's team, and by the end of that all happened within a 6-month period, and I was quite burnt out. And I took a sabbatical, and then after that, I decided to get in, and I was making a lot of calls, and it just stuck with Ron Norwood, who's now at Charlotte, and he's the head coach at Long Island Nets at that point. I came over, with half a bag packed, and it was pretty cool. It was one of the best professional experiences I've ever had.
So you start with Long Island as an assistant coach, then you go to the Capital City Go-Go, which is the affiliate of the Washington Wizards. Then you get the call to be the head coach of the Windy City Bulls. How did that all play out, this opportunity with the Bulls?
Oh, look, I got a call. I was traveling through, I do stuff for FIBA in the summer. And I was traveling through, I was actually in Cambodia when I got a text message from Coach Boylan. And it was pretty funny because the Wi-Fi in Cambodia is not real good. And so I remember he was going to call me at this time and this day, and I was trying to figure out where to be waiting, where the best Wi-Fi was. And we had a quick conversation, and then I bounced on to, I think, Laos and Vietnam and then Guam, and then we spoke a little bit over that. And then by the time I got here, we had a few phone calls, and they flew me in for a visit, and it was pretty good vibe from both parties, and I'm really grateful to be here.
How is this opportunity different from some of the other coaching opportunities that you've had?
It's similar. Like I worked in an institute program, and that was purely about development. So it's similar to that. It's similar to coaching the junior national team with the relative age, and you're coaching hungry young men that want to get better. The difference is, my last professional coach, it's not life and death. And it's what we spoke about earlier about the development of those players. And there's, we can start dropping more names of players that have improved this year. And that's what people, that's what people judge us on. And it's not winning and losing. We went 1-10 in that middle third of the year. We were pretty decimated, and we were trying to figure out how to recalibrate. And if that's happening in professional leagues, most professional leagues in the world, the coaches asked to leave. So that was never like that here, because everyone could see the progression of development in young players like Simi Shittu. Even Trey McCallum's really come out of nowhere this year and started to establish himself as someone who I think that could end up making some good money professionally.
All of these players are competing with themselves, with their opponents to make it to the NBA or make money overseas. So all of them have incentive to do as well as they possibly can, perhaps in some instances at the expense of their teammates. How do you facilitate a team culture in an environment where it's not necessarily the easiest thing to do?
It's cool hearing that. I really believe in culture, and culture to me, I define it as small, consistent displays of behaviour over a period of time. But you've got to establish some values, and we went about that. And all my job in that is just to reinforce those values when there's slippage. And I think most people want to be part of something bigger than themselves. And I think people that do that, and I think we've got a lot of good guys, and I think management's done a good job of putting good people in. We set our values, we established our values. We all committed to being part of something bigger than ourselves, and we've had some great results. Since the All-Star break, I think we've been 5-4, and we've taken a few big scalps.
In January, the wildfires in Australia were a big story. The Bulls did something really cool to help partner with the Australian Red Cross. What can you share about that story and how it came to your attention?
Well, obviously, it's I grew up near a national park and was exposed to bushfires a few times when I was growing up. So it sort of hit home. Fortunately, it wasn't near that area, but it was just about everywhere else. And it was quite horrific, and it was pretty cool. I went in and spoke to Brad Seymour and said, it'd be good if we can do something. And I was just figuring an autograph ball to auction and that. And then the next thing I know, 8 hours later, I get a call. We're doing this on this night, this on this, and it was overwhelming how supportive the Bulls were.
It's Damian Cotter, the head coach of the Windy City Bulls. Damian, thank you so much for taking the time.
Pleasure, Yousef. I'm more than happy to help out as much as I can, and thanks for supporting Windy City Bulls.
That's all the time we have for today. I'd like to thank my two guests, Milton Doyle and Damian Cotter, for coming on the program. For the entire team here at the Northwestern Newsmaker Studio, I'm Yousef Nasser. Thanks for watching.